Terminal illnesses are a heartbreaking reality of life. In many cases, doctors can only provide care to help patients feel less pain in their remaining days. In recent decades, there has been much of a talk regarding assisted suicide or euthanasia, the practice of ending a life in a painless way. One of the greatest controversies surrounding the issue is whether or not it should be legalized. A pleasant morning to all of you. I am Dr. Angeles. Euthanasia comes from the Greek words eu, meaning good, and thanatos, meaning death, thus forming the definition good death. However, in the modern society, it is commonly defined as mercy killing, such as when a terminally ill patient requests their doctor to induce them with a lethal injection to end their uncontrollable suffering. It is believed that euthanasia started in ancient Greece and Rome around the 5th century BC. Some did this by abortions and every now and then performed a mercy killing, even though the doctors were supposed to follow the Hippocratic Oath. I will give no deadly medicine to anyone if asked, nor suggest any such counsel. Although euthanasia is done by doctors in certain situations to end the patient's suffering and is legal in some countries, euthanasia should not be practiced or be legalized because it devalues lives, it might become involuntary, and doctors should cure and not kill. Euthanasia devalues lives. According to the article, Euthanasia, Arguments Against Euthanasia, people might think that death is better than being sick. They might think that death is the only solution to problems. People who support euthanasia say that it is done as self-defense. For example, a soldier is brutally wounded and might die if not treated immediately. Its partner decides to ask his consent for euthanasia to end his suffering. Killing for self-defense means that you kill to save another one's life. But in euthanasia, you do not save anyone's life. Euthanasia devalues lives because it tells us that we can take ours or someone's life easily. People supporting euthanasia also say that euthanasia is a way to die with dignity. But this is wrong. Accepting what life has brought to us, as well as fighting to the end, no matter how hard or painful the battle is, and waiting for death to come naturally, is how you truly die with dignity. Euthanasia might become involuntary. Euthanasia is done to a person with his consent. It is the decision of that person if he wants to do it. According to the article Arguments Against Euthanasia, people might decide to go for euthanasia because of emotional and psychological pressures. For example, a patient is suffering because of an illness, and his doctor said to him that it is better for him to die. That person might go for it because he suffers too much, and his doctor said that it is better. In an article written by Freire, before, euthanasia was only allowed in Netherlands for people who are suffering from chronic and unbearable illnesses. But now, such action is already permitted, even for people who are suffering from dementia, for people over 70 who feel tired of life, for severely handicapped individuals, and even for those who are suffering from mental illnesses. Once euthanasia is legally permitted, people will start to agree that suicide is the legitimate solution to life's problem, instead of being just an option for those who are suffering from chronic illnesses. It will eventually become a part of the social norm, with killing being permitted for everyone. Murder is like the involuntary euthanasia. You take someone's life without his consent. If euthanasia was legal, murderers would say that they killed a person because of euthanasia in their defense. Doctors should cure and not kill. According to Anderson, doctors are empowered by euthanasia. It gives them the opportunity to play God. A perfect example of this will be Dr. Jack Kevorkian, a controversial pathologist who took advantage of his patients' agony and murdered them. According to reports, his goals were to popularize assisted suicide, to harvest organs for transplantation, and to experiment the sick and injured patients. Kevorkian claimed that he had helped 130 ailing people end their lives. He created a machine for suicide that allowed sick people dispense a lethal dose of medication to themselves by pressing a button. Later, the lunatic was convicted for second-degree murder. In Oregon, United States, a woman received a letter from her insurance company refusing to pay for her chemotherapy, but offering assisted suicide instead. With this incident, how can we be sure that doctors will never be tempted to kill someone in the quickest way if it will benefit themselves in the end? Doctors should try to save lives and not to end them. Even though their patients are hard to cure, they should still try and not make euthanasia an option. According to the article Euthanasia, Arguments Against Euthanasia, doctors should not decide as God. They do not have the right to decide whether their patients will live or die. As long as their patients are alive, there is a chance that they will be cured and that they will live. On the other side, euthanasia are legalized in some countries, for it ends the suffering of terminally ill patients. According to Jiro Kadungon, the cost of futile life-prolonging treatment is often lavish but still ends up hopelessly towards death. This circumstance just forces the patient to a miserable existence. Euthanasia benefits this choice of the patient to consult to his death in order to relieve the excruciating pain from incurable and terminal diseases. However, in the Philippines, euthanasia is not legal for the reason of the predominance of religious communities, which hinders the ratification of the euthanasia bill. Also, the majority of the Filipinos value the Christian doctrine as the foundation of their conviction because all persons bear the image of God. Each and every human life is valuable, important, and worthy of respect and protection from conception to natural death. We affirm the rightness of a sanctity of life ethic, not a quality of life ethic. Also, under the Philippine Constitution of 1987, Article 2, Section 11, the state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Therefore, euthanasia contradicts both the Hippocratic Oath and the Philippine Constitution. Although euthanasia ends suffering, doctors should not end a person's life under the act of euthanasia. If our government passed a law legalizing euthanasia, many will die that still would have had a chance to live. Grandparents, children, or average people could all fall prey to mercy killing. Remember, every life here on earth, including the life of those people with disabilities, injuries, and life-threatening conditions, is valuable. Euthanasia takes a step in the wrong direction, leading ever downward to a world with no morals, a world where killing is commonplace, and a world where nobody cares. Euthanasia should not be practiced or be legalized because we all deserve to live. Euthanasia is similar to murder, and only God can take someone's life, for we only owe our life to God, and we have no right to decide whether we should still live or not. Death is not the solution to any problem. We still have the chances to solve those problems while we are still alive.
I wanna save a life.